All right, let's take you back now to one of our top stories. The plane that was carrying the Malawi's vice president is now missing. There were 9 others on that particular aircraft, and I do understand that Duncan Mlanjira, Nyasa Times and Malawi Express correspondent, will be joining us for this particular conversation, because, I mean, really, as you listen to some of what is coming out there, and also looking at various media houses as they are reporting on this particular story, there's a lot of concern about what is taking place here. And our international news editor, Sophie Mukwena, is standing by to also bring us the very latest in this particular story. Sophie, thank you so much for your time this evening. It is, of course, concerning developments coming out of Malawi, a nation on edge, wanting to know exactly what is happening with its vice president.
Yes, indeed. We spoke to the correspondent in Malawi earlier on, who did confirm that this chopper or the small plane is missing, and there were 9 people in that aircraft. It is a Defence Force aircraft, and currently they are trying to search a forest near Mzuzu International Airport after the plane left the main international airport in Malawi. And therefore, currently, there's a search around that Mzuzu airport. The plane left this morning, and they expected it to land at Mzuzu airport at 10, but they lost communication with the plane, and therefore, since then, they've been trying to locate the plane or the small plane, but unfortunately, they can't. We are told that there were 9 people who were part of the entourage that accompanied the vice president of Malawi. Their names haven't been released yet, and therefore we can't mention them. Only the name of the vice president has been released by the office of the president in Malawi, confirming this incident. And therefore, I think Malawian government will be in touch with the SADC counterparts to assist with the search. Countries such as South Africa with capabilities are likely to be called on to assist. And this is a massive, massive international story. It is now already trending.
And speaking about it being a massive international story, Sophie, you also think about the fact that it comes just as, for example, Iran is still trying to piece together and pick up the pieces after, President Ibrahim Raisi's death when it comes to that helicopter crash as well. And a lot of focus still on that particular story because there are developments in that country as well. And now, here we are having to learn of another country that is going through such a difficult time.
In our region, not very far from South Africa, a close friend of South Africa. And I think this is the issue that heads of state and government in the region will be looking at, and perhaps discussing ways and means how they can assist Malawi to ensure that they are able to get to the bottom of this incident. The search is still continuing. We don't know what's the latest in relation to those who were on board. Yeah. And as you pointed out with Iran, we know that that is why we are going to have presidential elections in Iran at the end of June. And tomorrow, in fact, the council that deals with elections will be announcing all the names of the people who will be contesting elections, the presidential election in Iran. And we know that the former president of Iran, Ahmadinejad, is one of those people who presented his credentials for approval to contest the election as an independent candidate. Now we are dealing with the vice president of Malawi, whom we know that recently there were challenges in that country. However, they did manage to address those challenges with the head of state of Malawi. And Malawi being a very small country, and I think it's correct to say, I think the SADC region will have to help Malawi to investigate this incident, but also in relation to the search. I will be trying to get hold of the South African Defence Force Ministry or the department, and also I'll try to speak to the international relations and the presidency of South Africa to to check whether they have been informed and if there's anything that's been done by South Africa to assist. But I'll also try and get hold of the Secretary of SADC to check whether other countries are trying to assist. This is a serious, serious tragedy. 9 people missing.
A tragedy indeed. And speaking about developments, it's not only in Malawi where we're seeing developments. There's also here at home some developments around President Cyril Ramaphosa saying that he will not be attending this week's G7 summit. And it's the first time since the president is missing this G7 summit, and the reality with Parliament sitting on the 14th, it will not be possible for him to attend. So what are the other factors?
Well, we know that on the 14th, we saw an announcement from the Office of the Chief Justice that members of Parliament will be sworn in. And therefore, you know that before the president is elected, all those who are in the list, starting from 1 up to whatever number as per different political parties, will be sworn in as members of Parliament, and therefore he has to take an oath as a member of Parliament, being number 1 on the ANC list. And when elections have been concluded of the president, the person who has been elected as the president of the Republic will then resign as a member of Parliament, and therefore he has to be in Parliament, particularly on the reports that we are likely going to see the election of the president on Friday, and therefore he has to be there to participate. But besides, I mean, no leader, whether you are just a politician, when you are faced with this kind of a challenge, will leave the country, because you have to ensure that you are able to pull the nation together, or to pull your party together, or your constituency together, so that when these processes start in Parliament, you are singing from the same hymn book. And therefore, I think it is for that reason, but also when you have this kind of a situation in terms of being a commander-in-chief now, because he is still the president of the Republic according to the Constitution until such time there's a new president. As a commander-in-chief, issues of security are critical, and therefore it is wise to be in the country. Also, these negotiations, much as President of the ANC, Ramaphosa, and the Deputy, Paul Mashatile, are not part of the team that is charged with responsibility of negotiating with other political parties. They do get a briefing, and they do make inputs to those who have been appointed to lead the talks or the engagements. And therefore, going to G7 wouldn't have been a good thing or a wise move.
There's also a peace summit that will be held in Ukraine. The Minister of State of Security will often attend these particular meetings. So do we know who will represent South Africa this time around?
I spoke to the ambassador of Ukraine and the ambassador of Switzerland. Switzerland hosting these talks. I was told that the advisor, the security advisor of President Cyril Ramaphosa, Dr. Sidney Mufamadi, and also the DG, International Relations, Zain Dango, will be going to Switzerland. There's no way any politician can go, particularly when you look at the members of cabinet, because some of them, the people who have been involved in these talks, particularly the Minister of State Security, has to be in the country. As I pointed out, it is all about issues of security at this juncture, and also in terms of you need all those votes to ensure that you are able to elect the Speaker and also the President, and therefore it will be a technocrat and the advisor of the president going to Switzerland for this summit, where almost 90 countries have confirmed that they will be participating at different levels. We know that the United States of America will be sending the Vice President Kamala Harris.
And of course, the international community monitoring developments here at home as well. I mean, as parties are engaging in the talks and possibly government of, national unity talks, what will be some of the key issues that the international community is looking at?
Well, the international community will be looking at how smooth the transition, particularly in Parliament, the swearing in of members of Parliament, the lawmakers will be, and also that process of electing the president. And if all goes well in terms of these critical hurdles, I think for international community, they'll be relieved that South Africa is able to navigate this transition. And I think the same with the investors, international investors, I must say, will be looking at this process leading to Friday. You know that the MK party of the former South African president, Jacob Zuma, pointed out that they won't be attending. But we heard from the officials of parliament that the process will go ahead. And I think the international community will be looking at this transition. If this transition does hold, international community will be able even to issue statements in terms of their views around the elections, because very few, they have noted the election, but they are still waiting to see the formation of government, and therefore they can congratulate whoever is the president of the republic.
And they join a long list of South Africans who are also waiting to hear what exactly is going to unfold here. But thank you so much for that update. That's Sophie Mokoena, SABC News International Editor. So lots of developments on the international news front as well. And you also, as you can see there on the bottom of your screen, the breaking news coming out from Malawi. We are still waiting for an update on, what has possibly happened to this aircraft that was carrying the vice president. So you can expect SABC News to bring you this developing story and the updates thereof. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we have more for you.